Hello everyone! Welcome back to Dancers Doing Stuff. It is freezing cold in New York today. It went from 70 degrees last week to 30 degrees today, so I am very cold. So this is why the drastic change in appearance and outfit choices. But today is a very exciting day because I get to talk to my friend and former roommate, Alanna. She is a great dancer. We met doing a performance with Josh Burgos on the Intrepid, the same one that my previous guest, Ramita, was on, and we connected, and then she ended up living with me, and it was really fun. And she's back home in New Jersey doing a lot of cool things in Jersey and in Pennsylvania. So I'm excited to talk to her about dance and also just about life. And she's also a Pilates instructor. She's really passionate about knowing your body and anatomy and dancers knowing their body and just being smart about your body and all of these things. She's super strong and she's like this big. She's petite, but she is a powerhouse. So I wanted to show a video of her. As always, you know how I like to hype up my guests. So this is the most recent video of some of her choreography because she's also started teaching. She's been doing so much. So check out. Amazing! Isn't that so cute? That was just like, ooh, power. I loved it. And then I also forgot to say, if you're watching live on YouTube, definitely comment, chat with us. We'll have a time where we can play a game and I'll actually be able to bring your comments onto the screen. So definitely, if you have any questions, type them and I can share them, or if you just like something that's going on. So with that kind of housekeeping done, I would love to introduce my guest. Let me give her a round of applause. Yay!
Hey!
You're here!
I am. It's almost like I'm back in the apartment.
I know. I miss it so much.
I know.
But you've been up to some really cool things, so I'm excited to chat. And first, before we officially get into talking about dance and life and all of that, I gave you a strange list. Well, it's not strange, but I just gave you a list of supplies and didn't really tell you what we were doing. So, today, we are making some fall Thanksgiving wreaths. Wreaths. I realize that's like a really hard word for me to say. Wreaths.
Wreaths. Okay.
Wreaths. I don't know. It doesn't sound like a real word anymore.
Like a vocal warm-up.
Yes, this is what we're doing. We're being productive. So, if you have like some fall colored paper out there and some scissors, that's what we're gonna start with. So basically, This is a really simple craft, and we'll work on it while we're chatting. But basically, I just have like a few different fall colors. I thought these were nice. And what we're going to do is we're just going to cut like different leaves out of this. So just kind of whatever shape you want. It could be like maple leaves if you're feeling crazy. I probably will do more like just classic leaves because I don't have a pencil with me, so that makes it a little tricky. So
I know. I just thought of the same thing.
yeah. So we're gonna freehand cut leaves, and we'll see how it goes. And then you also have your paper plate.
I do.
And before we start doing the leaves, we can set this up because this is a little tricky. Oh, you have that's like ASMR. That was like a fresh. Oh, that's cute. That was a
I'm
fresh
a little premature
tear.
on the pumpkin, but
I love it.
fresh
You mean the
crack.
snowman? I love it. I'm ready to decorate for Christmas already. Okay, so what we need to do, yeah, like there are no rules anymore. What is time? Who knows? Okay, so basically what we have to do first is cut out the middle of the plate because that's going to be kind of like the base for the wreath. So we're going to use just this kind of outer rim of the plate to glue all of the leaves on and to build our wreath. So we can just cut that out. This is like the most complicated part besides the actual drawing and cutting of the leaves. So once we get this going.
I'm just a little nervous about the drawing part.
You got this. I believe in you. You're crafty.
I am, but when it comes to drawing of sorts, not my strong suit, but we're gonna roll with it.
I did have a disastrous leaf embroidery situation with one of my guests. I did a very ugly leaf when we were doing some embroidery. She taught me how to do that, so check that episode out.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Exactly, and nature is, imperfect. If we've learned anything, everything is imperfect in 2020, so
yeah,
that should
be it was a 2020 leaf. That's fine.
Exactly. Okay, I think I'm gonna cut a little more. I have like this extra rim of the plate, so I'm gonna cut that. But while we are cutting, and then once you finish cutting your plate, we can start cutting some leaves. And if it's beautiful, then maybe you could use it as decoration for Thanksgiving. But if it's ugly, it's just paper and a plate, so it'll be okay. We won't feel too bad.
And it's just a chance to exercise a little creativity.
Exactly, which is so, so important, especially when we are not really able to do that as much the way we're used to.
Exactly.
So I was wondering if you could tell the audience just a bit about your dance background, when you started dancing. I've personally seen a lot of really cute videos of you dancing as a wee little one, but I'd love to kind of hear the story about how you got into dance.
Yeah, so I started taking dance classes when I was just about 3 years old. I was a very energetic, very bubbly child, which is kind of went into my adult years a little bit. But I always had a lot of energy, and I always put on little performances for my family. It was really cute. They would have a little sheet that would cover the hallway, and I'd burst through the curtain, and they would announce me, and I would put on performances to like Britney Spears and NSYNC, and like I'm a little teapot. So it was
that is so cute.
And so at that point it was like, okay, we got to take this girl into some dance classes. So I started like that whole like ballet jazz combo, added some tap in. And so at first it really was just something to get my energy out, and just was something I was always dancing around the house. But as I kind of went through middle school and high school, and a lot of those that I was still dancing with, it was more of a hobby for them, but it was just really evident that it was a passion of mine, and it just became a whole other part of me. I had no interest in the sports. I had nothing but dance, and that was my target. So I continued through high school dancing at a local studio. And then from there, I went to a school in Philadelphia, and I majored in dance in college, as well as studied pre-physical therapy, which we can get into that in a little bit as well, just because I was always not just so much fascinated with the art of dance, but also the biomechanics and the way that the body moves was always the thing that fascinated me the most. Just the ability of what our bodies have and the capability that we have. So I went to college for dance. I studied at Trinity Law Bonn when I was studying abroad. So
Yes.
also we got to bond a little bit about that. But I went to college at Drexel University, and then when I was there, I went and I studied abroad in London. Came back, and then after I graduated, I was set and ready, and had decided to pursue dance professionally. So I moved to New York, did the summer session program at Broadway Dance Center, where I met you around that same time.
Yeah, I think you had just finished the program when we did the job on the Intrepid.
Exactly. And then from there, I just started auditioning and jumped all in to the professional world.
I love it. Amazing. I want to interject a quick tip that I just realized when making our leaves. So, when you have your paper...
I'm still on the...
It's okay. Don't worry. So, I've made a few leaves right now. And a trick that I learned that I just made up, added just in this moment, was that if you fold the paper in half and then you do like cut the way that you learned how to make hearts in school, just do like a little kind of sweet potato fry shape, then it looks much more like a leaf, and with the bend in it, it looks really good. And so I've just been cutting a little different shapes and sizes of that, and we'll see how it looks. But that is a hot tip for anyone out there who's crafting along with us cutting paper. But yeah, so I mean, when did you I'm intrigued to know when you decided that you actually wanted to pursue dance, because I'm intrigued to know if maybe we have a similar situation. So I'd love to hear, like, do you have a moment where you really knew, like, oh, this is what I'm going to do professionally?
The first moment that I really remember it, I always knew that dance was going to be connected to my career. I didn't always know exactly the kind of the pathway that it was going to take. So I obviously knew when I majored in dance that I wanted to in some professional capacity, but it wasn't until about my junior year when I was actually studying abroad in London, where I got a little bit more clarity.
I just got chills. Oh my God. Yeah.
I kind of actually like oddly remember like the studio setting that I was in, and I think it was always something that was on my heart to do, and it was more of my fear held me back, and more of I compared myself a lot, which I know is a very dancer thing, but I didn't necessarily believe that I had what it takes. And that was the first time that I really believed and I really saw myself as an artist, was when I was dancing in London.
I knew you were going to say that, because that was exactly the same situation. Did you do the full year or just one semester when you were there?
One semester.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so I also, and I have a very specific memory, of course, like, I've always said when I was younger, like, whenever anyone asked me I don't remember ever saying anything different, really, than saying, maybe I said, like, I want to be the president, or I want to, I would come up with those little weird things, or, like, but it's always been like, no, I'm going to be a dancer. But I didn't actually understand maybe like what that meant, or if it was actually possible, literally until I was a junior in London at Laban. And I remember having a conversation. I don't know, did you ever have Christine as a ballet teacher? I don't know if she was still there, because I was there like 2 years or 3 years before you, I think. Oh my gosh, I was there 2011 to 2012. So I was there a while after you. Oh my gosh, because I'm old. But I remember really specifically the ballet teacher from the program, she was talking to me after, and she was like, so what's your plan? Like, are you going to go around and audition for companies in Europe? Like meaning like ballet companies. And I was like, I'm not good enough to do that. And she was like, so this is what I did, and like I think that you should do this. And I was like, wow, like it's possible, like someone is actually telling me, and like it was obviously people have believed in me, and I know they've believed in you for a very long time, but I think it's different hearing someone not just believe in you, but like say something and like assuming that this is obviously your career, like not even questioning it, like being like
Right.
that kind of thing. And I had that experience in London a few times with teachers there, and I mean, I just love London. I would move back in a heartbeat, and I know that you probably feel the same way, especially with the way America is. Well, I mean, hopefully there's hope. Hopefully there's hope, but it's been pretty dark here. So, yeah, no, I really, it's funny that you said that, and it's not surprising at all because I had the exact same experience. I don't know if it was something about, was your program in college a BFA or just a BA program?
It was actually a Bachelor of Science program.
Wow, that's
which
cool.
is really cool. And one of the reasons why I fell in love with it so much was because I still have that very sciencey part of my brain as well. So half of our time was spent in studio and like performance driven, and the other half was more based on like understanding the kinesiology, understanding the biomechanics, also understanding like the compositional part of things, the dance history, all of those stuff. So, and then also would take like chemistry and then go and take a dance class and go to physics and then go back to another dance class or a rehearsal. So, I liked being kept on my toes a lot.
I love that. Yeah, the program at Smith is a BA program, so it's much more like academic. Obviously, we have to dance a certain amount, but it's more academic than a conservatory program or something. Like when we were in London, that program is obviously
all conservatory.
Yeah, so I think it was also part of it was being in that kind of setting where it was just so clear that performance and dance was the path that all these people around me were taking, and it was like, oh wow, like cool, I'm included in this, and that's, yeah, I don't know, I think I'm really lucky that I had both the academic side as well as, you know, I think it was the perfect kind of dance education for college that I got. So it's always so fun to hear from people who have had like similar experiences, and like my time in London was just like the best time in my life. So I would literally like, if I could snap my fingers and go back, I would.
Yeah, I think that would be the time period that if anyone had asked me if I could time travel back to, I think that would be my time.
100%. It's just something so special about that school and that place, and I love it.
And those studios.
Oh, the studios are so beautiful.
The most magical place.
It really is.
Audience watching, you should Google it and just see what we're talking about
and
by these studios.
The hot chocolate and the cafe downstairs. Amazing. I don't know if you ever had it.
I don't know if I have it.
Oh, I had it every day.
When it was warm.
I still had it every day, and I went back after I graduated Smith. I went back into the summer program there, and then spent like 3 or 4 months in London after I graduated from Smith. And even when I went back to visit during my senior year to visit my friends, I went to the cafe, and the person knew that I wanted a hot chocolate. And I hadn't even been in school there for a year. And they were like, Haley, you want hot chocolate? Like, I have a hot chocolate problem. Or I'm just very knowledgeable about it. So maybe it's not a problem. Right. My mom would say it's a problem.
Tea.
I have tea right here. Always. Always. We can't.
I chose tea over coffee, especially for you.
I love that. Okay, so how is your wreath looking?
How's
it going? I mean, mine's just
I have my outline. And then I have some red and some brown leaves going.
Nice. Okay, I have some orange.
Was actually perfect.
It makes it actually look
I was a little nervous. I was getting a little stressed out here, but
honestly, me too.
I think it's gonna look good.
I know if we want to get really fancy with like maple leaves, there are templates out there that we could have probably downloaded. But I like the free form. It's just like we're just living. We're just, we're just vibing in the fall.
We're vibing with fall.
Okay.
Vibing with the leaves.
Exactly. We're just floating. So now is the perfect time for our first game.
the sound effects.
I'm glad that you got a kick out of that. So it's
Incredible.
time for Would You Rather. As I said before, if you are watching live, or even if you're watching the replay, I'd love for you to comment which would you rather you would pick, because I think it's really funny. I always say this, that I think doing would you rather is a really easy, quick way to see how someone's brain works and to just get to know them.
Oh, man.
Don't worry, none of them are really too
Okay.
crazy because they're from a prepackaged, pre-made game. I really should figure out who made it. Mashups. Ridley's Games. Sponsor me if you want, because I hype up your product every time I do the show. So, I'm going to pick
We're finally
two.
getting our game night.
I know. One day, we'll be able to be in person and have real game nights and play board games. Okay. Would you rather have spaghetti for hair or armpits full of sticky honey?
Spaghetti for hair.
You kind of have spaghetti for hair.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, I mean, it's going to look the same.
It'll just be
Maybe
blonde.
a different texture.
Yeah, true. And if you get hungry, so
There you go.
I love it. You know, we're in a pandemic, so it would actually be, you know, it's like
think it'd be
stregonona, but like from your head.
Exactly.
You are Italian, so
I am.
that would be the right choice. I agree. No one should want sticky armpits full of honey.
Mm-mm.
No, that creeps me out. Okay, next one. Would you rather only eat one food for the rest of your life, or have your speech replaced with the sound of Bohemian Rhapsody when you open your mouth?
Oh, man. Well, if you knew my family, Bohemian Rhapsody is like a big family gathering song. So I feel like that'd be actually really funny. But I think that I would choose to only eat one food. It's important for me to communicate with people.
Yeah.
There's only so many conversations I could have with Bohemian Rhapsody. So.
What food would it be, though? I know that's hard.
Wow. I know. I felt like that was going to be the follow-up question. I know it's going to have to be a carb.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe it could be your pasta hair.
Might have to be my pasta hair. I love a good homemade mac and cheese. Love it.
I could eat that every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So I feel like pasta, maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a safe bet.
All right. Last questions. Would you rather have an incurable itch between your toes, or have an irremovable wasp's nest living inside your pillow?
Ooh.
That's hard.
I mean, maybe the first one, because the second just sounds and so painful.
It sounds dangerous, yeah.
It does.
Because
Yeah.
I don't think the wasps would get used to you every night sleeping with, like, you would get stung every night.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I mean, one
I'd choose the
localized
itch.
position between your toes versus your entire face.
Yeah, because if it's
That
just
was my
always
thought.
there, you would get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well,
get used to the sensation.
exactly. Okay. That was amazing. You answered those very well. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now, as we're like still cutting leaves, which I'm still doing, I'd love to talk about just some of your passions outside of dance. I know I mentioned a few of them, but just share. I mean, definitely we can start with Pilates maybe, because I
Yeah,
know that has
absolutely.
been...
That's been a huge, huge passion of mine. I started Pilates my freshman year of college, and it was actually a part of our program, a part of our dance program, where
That is
we
so
basically-
good that they did
it
that.
was so awesome. And we were able to be taught by those who were in the training program. So I started doing Pilates my first semester of college about 2 to 3 times a week.
Wow.
Which I fell in love with it pretty immediately because it changed the way that I use my body. And it was able to help me break a lot of bad habits of like gripping with my hips or just using like the bigger muscles without really fine tuning, without toning my muscles, without really understanding how to lengthen properly, or just even the things that I was doing in like ballet class where I was forcing turnout or I was forcing my battement. And it changed the way that I breathed. I was able to like have more stamina going through performances, and I felt a lot more grounded and a lot more embodied within the way that I moved. So that was one of the things that just like viscerally and internally really just turned me on to Pilates and made me fall in love with it. So after that, I was hooked. I was like, yes, why can I not do Pilates sooner? And
Seriously.
I went through a training program that was through the university. It's called the Drexel Pilates Training Program. And it's a 450-hour training. So it took me until right about I left for London. So I started that program in 2014, and then I completed my certification in June of 2016. So I have been teaching Pilates ever since.
Wow, that's amazing that's something that they have available to students.
Incredible.
Because it really sets you up with a very easy career option. And I know that you taught Pilates while you were in New York, still auditioning, still doing that. It's such a great thing for your body, but it's also such a great flexible career for a dancer to have.
Totally. Even within scheduling, and it provided me with ways that I knew how to warm up my body. I knew how to train my own body. And so it helped me in the auditioning process that way. But also within teaching, I was able to preserve my body. So I wasn't doing something where I was always had to be on my feet a lot, and I could kind of monitor how much I needed to output. Maybe I wasn't going to demonstrate the whole thing. Maybe I was going to walk around and make adjustments. So it gave me the flexibility to care for my body as well.
Which is so, so important, and I feel like it's so commonly neglected in dancers.
Absolutely.
Do you ever see, like, dancers in class and you're just like, oh, like, let me help you, let me give you a Pilates lesson? I mean, you've looked at me at home and been like, you need help.
I do that to a lot of people, not necessarily just dancers, too.
Yeah, like seeing people in New York, you must see some really crazy, like, posture and things. You're just I wish I could help you.
When I was on the subway a lot, it was like, their shoulders. I just need them to drop their shoulders out of their ears and, attach them maybe to their back,
What is, like
that.
I know that a lot of people have been obviously sitting much more than normal. What is, like, one of, like, if you could tell the world one movement to help them right now, what would you tell them? Mostly I'm asking for selfish reasons because I'm a mess.
Help with slumping?
Oh, yeah.
With this? One thing I will say is muscles like to work together. Groups of muscles work together. So if you're rounding forward like this, you're overstretching your back muscles in between your shoulders and you're tightening your pec muscles. So you want to release the muscles here, but work on strengthening and tightening the muscles in between. So motions like this, or up and down, where it pulls on your lats. Those are great ones to activate into your back, especially now that we're virtual. So everything is very frontal. We kind of forget that we have a back sometimes. So anything to activate your back, I think, would be the go-to.
Ooh, that is like such a good tip, pro tip from Alanna Campbell. I love that. So what are some of your other passions besides Pilates outside of dance?
Besides Pilates, I dabble in a lot of things every once in a while. And since I have pivoted from, pursuing dance in the same capacity,
right, because it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist currently. Just been able to pivot. So alongside with Pilates, I've been going back, and I took this as an opportunity to kind of build my own personal resume in some senses, where I'm not necessarily adding more jobs to the resume, or dance jobs to the resume, but I'm taking anatomy classes online, so that way I have a little bit more deeper understanding of the body, and it's something that I'm already intrigued with. Um, I also eventually am interested in pursuing physical therapy a little bit more deeper, specifically with and specializing with dancers and dance injuries. From my own personal experiences that I've had with injuries and those of people that I have worked with, a lot of times people don't understand the dancer body and what we put ourselves through and what we are expected to perform a lot of times. So I really wanted to be able to bridge that gap a little bit better and be that kind of person who intercedes from both the artist brain and the science brain and meet those two in the middle. So that's one of my passions. And I also, since moving back to my parents' house currently for the time being, I have been serving and investing in a church plant in Philadelphia. So it has been a real honor and a real pleasure of mine to be able to just serve the community, to create community, and to really care for people in this time. There's a lot of brokenness that's happening. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of confusion, and people need that in this time. So those are some of the things that I have been doing.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see like how involved you are with your church, and just it seems like you guys are really creating, just like you said, like a sense of community. And I think that this is the perfect time. People need community in whichever way that they can get it, and like it seems that you guys have been doing some really cool things, and just like it's not just like here, come to church on Sunday. It's like it seems like there are so many options for so many people to get involved, which I'm sure is helping so many people.
Yes, and we've pivoted a lot of things online, and we have a very creative bunch of people at our church. So it's also really great to feed off of them and learn from them, people who are in graphics and video, and they have a whole creative team there. So to also be able to learn and to be inspired by them has been really a beautiful collaborative.
Yeah, and I've seen that also. This is something that, I mean, obviously you've done this before, but since you've been home, you've gotten much more into teaching dance as well, besides just teaching Pilates. So I'd love to hear more about that, because I've been loving seeing your classes, and I see people comment on your videos like, are you teaching this? Can I come to this class? I'm like, yay!
Yes. So I teach for a studio in South Jersey about every other week at this point. And we have all the restrictions, the temp checks, the social distancing, the masks, which has definitely been something new to get used to. It's a whole other version of cardio. But I teach a musical theater jazz dance class, which is really just enriching for the soul to be able to move in that way that I'm so used to. And within those times in quarantine, I kind of didn't get to have that access. And it was very different from performing it in this little space here. So to be able to be back in my Laduca shoes on Marley floor is
I'm jealous. I'm so jealous.
It gives me chills. But also to pass that information on to others. A lot of times, especially when I was in high school, there wasn't many studios that were offering drop-in classes, and also that were offering the option of taking musical theater jazz. So it just is, I'm really excited to be able to offer that and to give that back to the community in some way.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, I mean, I can only imagine, I'm sure you're an excellent teacher. So everyone, definitely go check out her classes. I will tag all of your stuff in the description below and in the show notes for the audio version of this episode. And then I know also you have recently, like very recently, I think, started dancing with a company and like being involved in a company. So what's that story like?
Yes, so awesome. So I am a guest artist for Project Motion, which is Philadelphia's only all-female jazz dance company, which it is phenomenal to be a part of and to be dancing and learning with and alongside of such powerhouse women. Um, and just, yeah, I'm so excited to be back and have a new dance family. And we're just being creative in the ways that, company work is going to look like within the pandemic and what that might look like moving forward. So it's a little bit more of collaborations with other Philadelphia artists or video shoots, photo shoots. So it's a whole new world that we're really kind of jumping into. But I think that our artistic director, Kelly Motion, she's really awesome and is just being really innovative about how we move forward and how we keep dance alive, how we keep the arts alive, which is, the world that we're living in right now.
Yeah, I think people are definitely, I feel like such a common theme that I've heard from all the people that I've talked to is just like creating community. We've realized how important community is. It's like, I think our industry can be very like individual focus and just like, I got to do this for my career and I got to do this. And it's like, actually, if we all are in a community and we build each other up, we can all succeed so much better and achieve our dreams. You don't have to, you can always ask for help. You can have a community. I think it's like, it's so important. And then also just getting creative. We are creative people. So like, of course, the artists and the dancers and the people in this industry were made to figure this out, It's,
right, exactly. And in a way, it takes some of the pressure off in a sense where there's not really an expectation of what to do. So it's kind of like your choices are limitless in the things that you can kind of choose to pivot to. Like we just had we had a pandemic performance this past weekend. It was kind of set up a little bit like a telethon based. It was a fundraiser for dance and music programs within the Philadelphia region for schools. And we performed in one of Philadelphia's music venues. And it was interesting to perform to not an audience in such a big space like that. But it was really cool to see the way that the cameras were set up and they were panning kind of on a track and the way that it was live broadcast onto something else. It was really interesting because I was able to have people who live across the country who were able to tune in and see me dancing in Philadelphia. So in those senses, it's something that's something that excites me.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to look at this whole, like it's really easy to be bummed out about all the things that like we should rightfully be bummed out about and worried about. But at the same time, there's been so many people that I know who have started new businesses or just gotten really creative. And, I've been able to take class from people in LA who I would have never been able to take class with unless I was there. I took my friend's ballet class in London and like, I would have never been able to take that right now, not being there. So there's definitely pros and cons. And, if you've put your mind to it, you can really figure anything out. So there's hope in this dark, dark world.
There is.
Even though the sun sets at...
You just need to look for it.
Yeah, exactly. Even though the sun sets at 3:30 in the afternoon now.
Yeah, that's
there's still light. There's still light somewhere. Whether it's a ring light for your online class or whatnot, like you can figure it out. So I love that. Yeah, so it's time for another game. It's less of a game, more of just like dun dun dun, dun. Questions. So I have these questions. They are loosely color coded, and I'm gonna pick one randomly from each color. Some of them are more deep. Some of them are funny, and they're just kind of fun. Get to know you questions, because a big part about this show, I've said it a bunch of times, is I feel like dancers don't always get to share who they are. We're often telling someone else's story. So that's part of the reason why I love talking to people is just giving people the ability to share who they are. So,
I love that.
pick a color, and I will.
Let's go with orange first.
All right. Ooh, a funny one. If
Okay.
you had to be on a reality TV show, which one would you choose?
Reality TV show. The Bachelorette, but only if I could be the Bachelorette.
Ooh, okay.
Like, I would not want to be a contestant on The Bachelor.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
no, that would be stressful.
No. But maybe I feel like being the Bachelorette would be fun.
Yeah, having like people just fight over you and like having that control. You get to make the decision of your life.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Okay.
Let's go with purple.
Are you good at forgiving people?
Ooh.
We got deep.
I try to be. I really try to be. It's one of those things that you have to check yourself that you're not being petty. You know, I think our human nature is to kind of be that way. But it's hard. Forgiveness is hard. It's necessary. But it's a hard thing. But
Yeah, that was a good answer.
But I think I would say yes.
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
Yeah. I think you're good at forgiving people. I think you're a forgiving person.
Thank you.
All right.
Let's go pink.
If you could live anywhere in the world for a year, where would it be?
London.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say. I was like, this is an easy question.
This is so easy.
We both would pack up and move like
I
that
really
if we
would.
could. I would too.
Really would.
I know. I can't wait for the world to open
I
up
actually
more.
had planned to go. That was one of my 2020 goals, is I wanted to go back and go to London.
Yeah.
Don't think that's gonna happen with.
I had hoped to go in the summer and visit my friends, and that didn't happen. So maybe 2021 will be our year.
So.
All right. What is the worst lie you ever told? Ooh.
Ooh.
That's a hard one too.
I mean, I don't want to identify myself as a liar.
If you haven't
like,
really lied, that's okay too.
Not on anything like big. I feel like maybe when I was in college, like to like a professor or some sort of like excuse of like why
The dog
I
ate your homework.
didn't get to turn in my paper or something, or why I was late to class. I feel like that's the most times I've ever told a white lie, is like why I show up late with like a nice coffee.
I'd believe that.
But other than that, I really try not to lie.
Yeah. Okay, this is the final question that I ask all of my guests. Okay. What brings out your most creative self?
This is a more complex question than I think people would realize. The word that comes to mind is like space. If I give myself the kind of space and environment, I also think that I'm the most creative when I don't put extensive amount of pressure and expectation on it. Usually the medium is within dance, but it's something that when I'm open and able to kind of tune in and be more receptive to things, or be inspired by nature or music or whatever it might be, kind of allowing it to come naturally and giving that space for it. So like mental space, emotional space for it.
I love that. That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful.
Thank you.
It's definitely something that, you know, it's I think it's hard and necessary to find that in a city, living, you know, in New York. It's like you really have to do the work to get that.
You have to be really intentional. Go to Central
Yeah.
Park, go for a walk. I used to have to find grass a lot of times. So
I
Central
love
Park
that.
was my thing.
Nice. Well, now is the time. If you have anything you would like to plug, we have your Instagram here for all our live viewers.
Yeah, so you can check
Alanna
that out down here.
Campbell. And yeah, tell everyone. I mean, everything will be in the show notes, but definitely tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, so Instagram is probably the easiest place to get in touch with me there. It also has like a link to my email. I'm teaching Pilates. I've been doing virtual private classes, virtual group classes. I do a little extra stuff for dancers specifically. There's been some dancers that I've been working with in terms of Pilates and keeping their bodies in shape when they're not able to do the same amount of movement that they have been. It's great cross training for dancers. I also will be teaching, so I always am posting on my Instagram what classes I'm teaching. And then also you can find from Instagram, I'll have like a little in my bio, a little link tree to all of those extra links there. But to check out Project Motion, the Philadelphia dance company that I'm in. So those are all my main things that you can keep posted on all the things that I'm up to.
Yay, I love that. And then, of course, if you're watching live, it would mean the world. And if you're watching later, if you're watching the replay, it would mean the world to me if you would like and subscribe this video, comment, share it with your mom, your grandma, share it with anyone you know. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I'm...
Oh, we can do that. We can do that. Come on.
Well, I only have 137, so we've got a long way to go.
I believe in you.
But thank you for believing in me. And
I'm also just so proud of you for creating this. I remember having conversations at our kitchen table about this idea, even pre-pandemic. So it's really beautiful to see you really putting this into motion.
Thank you. I know. Yeah. I've been talking about this forever, and so I'm glad that this pandemic kicked me in the butt to start it. And if you guys want to find me, you can follow me on Instagram at essentially Haley for my DIY kind of stuff, and then Haley Grove, HALEY, for my personal and dance stuff, if you want to check that out. And I'm actually thinking, I know I mentioned this before, of just making an Instagram specifically for dancers doing stuff so that I can actually reshare the videos of all my amazing guests who show their dancing, and just keep sharing and have a place where we can keep hyping each other up and sharing all updates that they have going on. So I'm working on that, so look out for that. If you're watching later in time, that might be available to you, so we'll see. But other than that, this episode will go live on the podcast, I think in about 2 weeks. So it'll be after Thanksgiving, but definitely we have to keep making our wreaths. I haven't actually glued anything to my wreath yet, either. But I've just been cutting out some things. Let me just show a little bit like how it's kind of looking. So I have like this kind of little... It'll kind of look like this. Once you go all the way around, it'll actually look much better. And I'll definitely post a picture of what it looks like. And so if you try out this craft, definitely take a picture and tag us on Instagram so we can see it. I think it'll be really cute for like Thanksgiving. Maybe I'll bring it home to my parents because I'm only seeing just my parents for Thanksgiving, because stay safe, wear a mask, everyone. Let's not have a lockdown fully because... we want to get back to dancing. So with that, have an amazing night. And I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.